Division in the House of Representatives over the call for Communications Minister Pantami's resignation. Tonight we speak with the presidency on the reasons for the statement on Mr. Pantami. And the governor of Imo State, Uzodinma, met with President Buhari at the presidential villa. He says politicians are the ones sponsoring bandits. Details in a moment. Hello everyone and welcome to Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Shehu Kimbaloe. Tonight we stay on the Minister Pantami matter and the reactions from the presidency. Tonight we get more from the presidency on the reasons they gave for supporting Mr. Pantami in the wake of the outrage. So stay with us everyone. Let's get started by telling you about some very disturbing news as regarding the state of security, regarding the state of security in the country. Today, the governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodinma, is accusing politicians of being responsible for the spate of banditry across the country in order to destabilize the polity. Governor Uzodinma was speaking to journalists at the presidential villa after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari. Also gave the APC-led government a pass mark in its almost 6 years of leadership. Take a listen to him.
This country is blessed by God. From 2015 today, I thought what the problem would be. People saying that no job creation. People are not feeding. Salaries are not paid. Infrastructure are going down. Social interventions are not approved by government. These things are there available. A pass mark for the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, people are no longer talking about that. Rather, what they are doing is to sponsor crisis to the extent that those funding this banditry are politicians, which are challenge and call on security agencies to make their names available to the press.
Well, following the response of the presidency yesterday on Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, where the presidency says it stands behind the minister, there have been an outrage and debate over the stance of the government of the day. In the House of Representatives, there appears to be some division. The spokesperson of the House, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, was responding to claims that the minority leader was not given proper grounds to move the motion. The House spokesperson said he was releasing a statement based on a misrepresentation of facts for the sake of sensationalism. Honorable Kalu went further to say, quote, "It is therefore pertinent to inform Nigerians that the House has not acted in error, but in line with the provisions of its rules, all insinuations that the House did not allow democratic debate to take place on the important issue of Pantami's resignation are simply untrue." Well, the House of Representative Minority Caucus has responded on behalf of the minority leader to condemn the statement of the spokesperson of the House. The Minority Caucus says, quote, "It is therefore completely irresponsible for anybody, let alone the spokesperson of the House, who should be abreast of the rules to state that the minority leader ought to have known better than coming under Order 6. His statement is therefore in bad faith and should be disregarded and withdrawn by him immediately." End of quote. The People's Democratic Party has equally responded to the matter, asking the president to remove the Minister of Communications or be seen as having sympathy for terrorism. They released a statement today, part of the quote there on your screen. Tonight, we have the president's spokesperson, Mr. Garba Shehu, whom I spoke to earlier on. Let me allow you to listen to that interview with Mr. Garba Shehu. We're now being joined by Madam Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Publicity. Thank you, Madam Shehu, for joining us tonight on Politics Today, radio on Channels Television.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
So our conversation this evening, Madam Shehu, is on two legs. And I'd like for us to quickly tackle some of the issues that have been raised. One is on issue of security, and the other one is what has become a major concern for Nigerians for the statement you released yesterday. In that statement you released, you said, the administration stands behind Minister Pantami. What do you mean by that?
Well, it simply means what we said, which is that the administration stands behind him uh, for fair hearing, stands behind the Nigerians in getting a better deal from ICT companies and against all forms of extortion or exploitation. So it's a two-legged thing, and that this is where we are.
Is there any kind of investigation going on? Because when you say fair hearing, it does look like maybe you're planning to hear him out on some of the things that is quoted to have said in the past.
Well, there are issues that have been raised, serious allegations that some operators in the ICT sector had launched a smear campaign against the minister. This should be of interest to the police and to the courts, as that statement said. But as far as the citizen Pantami is concerned, he is not guilty until charged or investigation proves otherwise. The essence of that statement is to indicate clearly that this is a government that is at all times prepared to give a fair treatment to all citizens, in this case a minister, and also consumers of the telecoms products that are on sale in the country.
You claim in your statement that time has passed and people and their opinion often rightly change. What evidence are there to show to Nigerians that indeed Minister Pantami has changed?
Well, it's not for Garba to offer this explanation. The minister himself has been saying this. But if people will be fair, let them look at the evidence on the ground. This is somebody who has engaged the founder of the Boko Haram sect in a 6-hour intellectual duel, and which clearly whoever had the patience to sit down to watch that video would come to the conclusion that Pantami has trashed the Boko Haram ideology. And I want to say, from what I know, that that discourse, the essentials of that intellectual victory by Pantami against the Boko Haram doctrine has become a subject not only in Nigeria but in many parts of the world of a discourse of research and documentation. So to be fair to him then, if we are to believe him, and we do believe him, this man has transformed from that youthful exuberance, youthful, enterprise in which, in any case, many people around the globe were misled in this country and beyond. We all know the environment in which Saddam Hussein and even Osama bin Laden were fought by the United States and the combined, forces, Europe and other allies. It is a fact that so many people were misled in so many countries. There was never unanimity in Nigeria in support of the war against Saddam or Osama. In fact, in many parts of the world, including UK and the American parliaments, there were people who dissented with their governments in those. So therefore, that is not to say that because those people disagreed at that time, they can no longer be useful to their society. They have reintegrated, they have moved on. And time has shown that those who held those opinions in support of those first elements were mistaken. And to have somebody come forward to say he realized he has made a mistake, he has apologized. So what are we talking about? We say we are religious people. Go and check the Quran, go and check the Bible. All of the scriptures tell you that if you're a bad man today, you are welcome to become a good person. If you become a good person, should you be rejected? I think this is the thinking of some of us.
So for those then who criticize the Buhari government, for example, some minister or member of this government under the Buhari administration have done some things viewed as far lesser than what Mr. Pantami has been accused of, but they have been removed from government. Is it true of what they say, therefore, that is a favorite of President Buhari? And how do you react to accusation of double standard?
Can you tell me who that minister is, who did
the former secretary to the government of the Federation was removed. There was a minister, Kemi Adeosun, who resigned her position as a minister of finance. These are people that have been accused in the past under this government, and they left the government.
Well, so that is the judgment people make, whether this is a small offense or this is a big offense, small crime or big crime. But in the two cases you mentioned, there are alleged cases of perfidy, criminality. In the second case, which is that of Pantami, you are probing the fault, and this is what the Americans have called McCarthyism. You search the inner recesses of the minds of individuals, bring out things they have said or they are about to say, or you think they will say, and then use that against them. If Minister Pantami had forged a certificate to come into office, the attitude would have been different.
But I mean, Mr. Shehu, look at it in this way. The Anti-Terrorism Act of 2017 simply describe terrorism as someone who commit, or terrorists as someone who commit or attempts to commit terror acts by any means, directly or indirectly, unlawfully and willfully. It also define a terrorist to mean any natural person who participates as an accomplice or in terrorist act. In that law, it also talks about those who tacitly support terror. Take a listen to how a scholar described Mr. Pantami. She described Mr. Pantami, quote, "Pantami is representative of a hyper-zealous cadre of clerics who proliferated the puritanical Salafi literalist creed of Islam, which has reshaped northern Nigeria in deeply volatile ways." And she went further to say, "An honest and accountable government of Nigeria will let him go."
Well, again, your questions are coming to the wrong person, because I am not spokesperson for Pantami. And get him on the seat and ask him your questions.
No, but I'm making this reference to you because you speak for the president, and the president, Mr. Pantami, works for the president, and the Nigerian people voted for the president. And in this case, the president said he has backed him, but I'm putting forward, when you say perhaps Mr. Pantami's case is a far lesser case in this sense, whether or not it's weightier or less weightier, I've referenced part of the Constitution or the law where whatever Mr. Pantami has said in the past, whether you see it as lighter or heavy, Nigerians who are asking that he resign, I'm asking how the president or the presidency perceive the views of many Nigerians in this case.
Well, I'm saying that in all our lives, we change and transform. So when you are 1 year old, you are sucking the breasts of your mother. I'm not being rude to you, with due respect to you. You don't do that again, do you? And so therefore, we don't remain in the same position. And people don't assume that things cannot change. I just gave you examples from our scriptures. We claim to be religious people. So if the one who created you gives it to you that from being bad you can become good, what tells you that you should deny some other person this right?
This is something that has gotten a lot of people perhaps interested in this matter. And for those who argued that Mr. Pantami necessarily shouldn't be the only person who can handle that office. With the decision of President Buhari to side with Mr. Pantami, are you not worried of the message the presidency might be passing to the world on terrorism, issues relating to religious extremism, are the views that are growing that this government just gave a tacit support to such?
I'm saying to those people who stand in criticism of this position of a man who has said he had wronged himself, he had wronged society, has apologized and changed, and they are not willing to forgive him to move on, they are the ones who are the problem. They are the ones who are deeply intolerant and who are telling the world that, yes, in this country, we also have a set of people who don't forgive, who don't want to move in. And so therefore, they are a problem to the society.
So we should take it tonight that the presidency is saying that Mr. Pantami will not, his position will not be reviewed, no matter what the agitations from Nigerians are bothered about our reputation on issues of terror. I should just leave it as that. Mr. Pantami is still going to be a minister. That's what you're passing tonight, isn't it?
Please allow me to stay on my brief. I speak for the president when he speaks. When I know his thoughts, I would say them. As we speak, I've not been briefed about Mr. Pantami's continued stay in the government.
Okay, so let me, perhaps on a final note, confirm to us, Mr. Shehu, the Buhari administration has been accused of ignoring a report by the DSS, which was said to have highlighted some of the issues many people have raised now, but it is said that it was ignored because Mr. Pantami, according to them, is a favored candidate of the president. Did President Buhari get, or the president get any sort of alert or report about him when he was nominated as minister?
Showing a privileged citizen, you have access to DSS reports. I don't have access to their reports, so I don't know what you are reading.
No, I'm asking because you work with the president. You probably will be, you have access to that kind of information. I have some information to say that there were reports from the DSS at a time about Mr. Pantami. Whether or not, I wanted to confirm whether the presidency got that same report.
I'm saying to you that you're a privileged citizen because you receive reports from DSS. I don't. And the president receives tons and tons of documents and briefs. It's not to share them with Garba. Who am I? He's the president of Nigeria.
All right.
I know, and is it also the practice that the DSS shares their reports in the media as to be accessed like that? I don't know about this.
Okay, then let's leave Mr. Pantami alone for a moment and move into some other very important matter as the security of this country. The act of terror on innocent Nigerians, Mr. Shehu, has not stopped, and it appears it is spreading. The Minister of Defense says the nation is bleeding. With what we're seeing today, the governor of Benue State has blamed the Buhari administration for failing to declare the bandits or the killer herdsmen a terror group. Is it some difficult thing for the president to do to declare this group of people for their heinous act as terrorists?
The president's directive to all security agencies is that all of those wielding AK-47 rifles without authorization should be shot. How do you deal with terrorists? It's the same thing. So therefore, the governor's statement is tautological. I think that you should find something beautiful to say. Now, security is a matter for public concern. And our concern these days is that crimes that happen, kidnapping, killings and so on, they are sad and unfortunate. No responsible government would be happy when things like that happen. But there's a media hype also that you can't deny. I think that there's a determination by some people to take security, to make security as the narrative that will lead to next election in 2023. We are sad, we are not happy, people are killing one another, but the way reporting is done is to suggest to you as if it had never happened. The other day, I was holding a newspaper to an audience in new Nigerian newspaper reporting kidnapping of 20 on the 7th of November, 1966 in the Midwest. If something like that happens today, it will be reported as if there has never been an incident like that in the history of this country. And Buhari, not any one other person, not local council chairman, not governor, Buhari is responsible. So we know the game in town.
Okay, so if this is a perception coming from you, one will imagine that with some of the terrible incidents and security incidents around the country, the president as the commander-in-chief would have gone on the ground physically to empathize or sympathize with some of these, some of those who are being hit or are affected, or in fact, go and visit the troops to inspire them. Does he plan to do any of such in any nearest time?
Well, it depends on what you value in terms of these things. Whether there is a sense that perception is more important than reality, that rhetoric, sentiment is better than action. So we make our choices. For President Muhammadu Buhari, this is not a theater. It's not about showmanship, going there, present himself before television audiences and they dramatize things. No, he wants to save life. If you are harboring bandits in your community or that will kill 12 military personnel, including an officer, and you just pretend as if this is normal, and then you are saying president should come and play politics with it. This country has a serious problem, and it should concern all of us, citizen, non-citizen, military, police, and the ordinary civilians, that we should all come together to solve our own problems. This is not about drama. Please allow the president to act, not to dramatize.
Okay, of course, that's perhaps the question tonight, whether or not when the president relates with Nigerians who are affected with some of this insurrection, I don't think it's dramatization. I think he's actually acting as a father of the nation that he is. On a final note, and quickly, if you may, Mr. Shehu, for those who have asked that there should be a declaration of state of emergency on security, that's a big one, I understand. Is there a consideration in this sense? The Minister of Defense has said this nation is bleeding. To stop the bleeding, there must be a drastic action. Is there any consideration in that light?
Does that make the problem of insecurity go away with the wave of the hand? If that is silver bullet, that's my question to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Malam Garba Shehu. It's always a pleasure to have you give us the thoughts and the opinions of President Muhammadu Buhari on some of these matters of state. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
That's our conversation with Malam Garba Shehu, and that brings us to the end of the show tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Shehu Akimale. Bye for now.